Why INFJs are considered anxiously attached in their relationships. Imagine giving all of your love, energy, and soul to someone, yet constantly questioning whether it's enough. For the INFJ, the rarest personality type, this isn't just a fleeting thought. It's a way of life. Relationships for INFJs can be both deeply rewarding and emotionally taxing because of their tendency toward anxious attachment. As an INFJ, you've likely felt the weight of overthinking your partner's every word, analyzing their every gesture, and fearing the day they might leave, even if they've given you no reason to doubt their commitment. You care so deeply, yet you struggle to let your guard down entirely. This emotional intensity is often misinterpreted, leading people to label INFJs as clingy or too sensitive. But there's a deeper story here, one rooted in psychology, personality traits, and experiences. Before diving into the reasons INFJs are prone to anxious attachment, let's first explore what anxious attachment is. According to attachment theory, developed by John Bowlby and later expanded by Mary Ainsworth, our attachment style is shaped by our earliest relationships. If you grew up with inconsistent caregiving, where love felt conditional or unpredictable, you may have developed an anxious attachment style. As an INFJ, your deep sensitivity and emotional awareness can amplify these tendencies in adult relationships. Here are some of the reasons why INFJs are prone to anxious attachment. 1. Deep emotional sensitivity. INFJs are often described as emotional sponges, absorbing not only their own feelings, but also those of others. This heightened emotional sensitivity makes them acutely aware of any shifts in their partner's mood or behavior. Imagine an INFJ in a relationship where their partner comes home from work visibly stressed. Even if the stress has nothing to do with the INFJ, they might internalize it, thinking, did I do something wrong? Did I miss a chance to support them? Over time, this emotional hyper-awareness can lead to a constant state of vigilance, where the INFJ feels they must always be on to maintain harmony. Elaine Aron's research on highly sensitive people, HSPs, aligns closely with the experiences of many INFJs. HSPs are more reactive to emotional stimuli, which can be both a gift and a challenge in relationships. 2. Idealistic expectations in relationships. NFJs are dreamers and idealists. They often envision a relationship that's profoundly deep and meaningful, filled with perfect harmony and unspoken understanding. However, real-life relationships rarely meet these sky-high expectations. Consider an INFJ dating someone who forgets an anniversary. While others might shrug it off, the NFJ might interpret this as a sign that their partner doesn't value the relationship as much as they do. This disconnect between expectations and reality can fuel feelings of insecurity and anxious attachment. 3. Fear of abandonment. INFJs often have a core fear of abandonment, which can stem from past experiences of rejection or loss. This fear can lead them to overcompensate in relationships, trying to prove their worthiness of love. An INFJ might stay up late crafting a heartfelt letter for their partner, not because it's required, but because they fear that without such gestures, their partner might lose interest. Studies on attachment styles reveal that individuals with an anxious attachment tend to interpret neutral or ambiguous partner behavior as signs of potential abandonment, leading to heightened stress. 4. Overthinking and hypervigilance. INFJs are notorious overthinkers. While this trait helps them analyze complex situations, it can also trap them in cycles of doubt and worry when it comes to relationships. If a partner responds with a curt "okay" to a text, an INFJ might spend hours dissecting what it means. Are they upset with me? Did I say something wrong? This overanalysis can lead to unnecessary anxiety. 5. The desire to please. NFJs are natural givers. They often prioritize their partner's happiness over their own, sometimes to a fault. An INFJ might cancel a long-awaited self-care day because their partner casually mentioned wanting company for an errand. While their partner may not even realize the sacrifice, the INFJ might later feel unappreciated or taken for granted. This behavior aligns with research on codependency, where individuals derive their self-worth from meeting others' needs, often at the expense of their own well-being. 6. Struggles with assertiveness. NFJs often shy away from expressing their needs directly, fearing it will create conflict or make them seem needy. This reluctance can lead to unspoken frustrations that build over time. An INFJ might hesitate to tell their partner they dislike a certain restaurant, instead agreeing to go there repeatedly to avoid seeming difficult. Eventually, this lack of assertiveness can lead to resentment. Learning assertiveness skills, such as using I statements, I feel, can help INFJs communicate their needs without guilt. 7. Overidentification with emotions. INFJs often blur the line between their emotions and those of their partner. While this deep empathy is one of their strengths, it can also make them feel overly responsible for their partner's emotional well-being. If a partner is upset about a work issue, the INFJ might internalize that emotion, feeling just as stressed or upset as if it were their own problem. Here is how anxious attachment manifests in INFJ relationships. 1. Seeking constant reassurance. INFJs often look for subtle signs that their partner is still invested in the relationship, such as affectionate texts or compliments. An INFJ might ask their partner, "Do you still love me?" Not because they doubt them, but because they need frequent reminders to quell their own insecurity. 2. Difficulty letting go of past hurts. INFJs have a long memory for emotional experiences, both good and bad. Even months after a minor disagreement, an INFJ might recall it vividly, replaying the scenario and wondering what they could have done differently. 3. Self-sacrificing behavior. As natural caregivers, INFJs often put their partner's needs above their own. An INFJ might skip a personal goal, such as attending a class or pursuing a hobby, because they feel their partner needs their attention more. 4. Fear of being misunderstood. INFJs often feel like their thoughts and emotions are too complex to be fully understood, which can lead to feelings of isolation even within a relationship. An INFJ might say, "Never mind, it's not important," when trying to explain a deep thought, fearing their partner won't understand. 5. Overanalyzing relationships to avoid pain. INFJs are strategic thinkers, but in relationships, this can become a double-edged sword. Their tendency to analyze every word and action in the relationship often comes from a desire to avoid emotional pain. Suppose an INFJ's partner cancels a dinner date at the last minute due to work commitments. While others might accept the reason at face value, the INFJ may replay the scenario in their mind, asking themselves questions like, "Are they losing interest? Did I say something wrong the last time we spoke?" This overthinking can lead to unnecessary stress, which only reinforces their anxious tendencies. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, emphasizes how overanalyzing can distort reality and create self-fulfilling prophecies. INFJs can benefit from reframing negative thought patterns by focusing on facts rather than assumptions. 6. A desire for intense emotional connection. INFJs crave deep, soulful connections. While this is a beautiful aspect of their personality, it can become problematic when the INFJ expects every relationship to fulfill this need completely. An INFJ might feel dissatisfied if their partner enjoys lighthearted activities like watching sports, but doesn't show much interest in having long philosophical conversations. This can make the INFJ feel unfulfilled and misunderstood even if the relationship is otherwise healthy. Recognize that emotional intimacy can take many forms. While deep conversations are important, shared laughter and simple acts of kindness are equally meaningful in sustaining a connection. 7. Difficulty letting go of relationships. One of the most challenging traits of INFJs with anxious attachment is their difficulty in letting go even when a relationship is clearly unhealthy. Their empathetic nature often makes them focus on their partner's potential rather than the present reality. An INFJ might stay in a toxic relationship, convincing themselves that if they love their partner hard enough, they can help them grow and change. This dynamic can lead to emotional burnout and erode the sense of self-worth of the INFJs. Research shows that individuals with anxious attachment often prioritize maintaining the relationship over their own mental health. NFJs, with their strong sense of loyalty, are particularly vulnerable to this trap. Learn to set healthy boundaries and recognize that loving someone does not mean sacrificing your well-being. Seek support from friends, therapists, or support groups when it's time to move on. Being an INFJ with anxious attachment tendencies is not a life sentence. While it's true that INFJs are deeply emotional and sensitive, these qualities can also be their greatest strengths when harnessed correctly. To all the INFJs watching this, your capacity for love, empathy, and understanding is unmatched. But remember, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Invest in self-care, seek therapy or counseling if needed, and work on developing a secure attachment style. Imagine a version of yourself that no longer feels the need to overanalyze every text message or fear abandonment at every turn. Instead, you radiate confidence, knowing that you are worthy of love just as you are. This transformation is possible. It starts with understanding yourself and taking intentional steps toward emotional growth. If this resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with other INFJs who might be struggling in their relationships. And let us know in the comments, what's one way you're working on building healthier connections in your life? Stay safe and see you in the next one.